Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Stirling. This is my able assistant Natasha, my wife, and we're going to show you how to make Chambord raspberry liqueur soufflés today. Normally soufflés are either chocolate soufflés, Grand Marnier soufflés. We like to take a little different taste on it. These are Chambord raspberry liqueur. Sometimes we'll do a Kahlua Kona coffee soufflé. But today we're going to be doing the Chambord. Now the first thing we're going to do is preheat our oven. We have to make sure that the rack is at the right height. It's very important when you prepare your oven that you have plenty of room for the soufflés to rise. So first thing we're going to do is turn the oven on. And just give me one moment here. I'm going to turn that on. So bake. So I just put this at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 204 degrees centigrade. Now every oven, for anybody that understands how baking, every oven is different. No matter, it depends on the oven, the size, the elevation where you're cooking at, so they're a little bit temperamental, kind of like my wife. But, so we're going to make this work today, and what we'll do is, now that we have this heating up, my wife will come over here, and forgive my last insult, and we'll proceed forward to make our soufflés. Okay? Now I'm going to show you some of the ingredients we'll be using today. We have white granulated sugar. We have, for the topping, we have heavy whipping cream, egg whites, raspberries, we have raspberry puree, powdered sugar for dusting, the creme brulee, and some butter to coat the ramekins. Okay? So the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to start with the mix that mixes into the egg whites. We have the egg whites here. We use a cup. This is for approximately 4 servings. These are considered large servings. You'll find when you go to many restaurants, they'll serve this size. It's a little bit skimpy. We like to show some substance on the size, and it just has more of a presence and more of a wow factor when you're serving it. So you'll notice this type of this ramekin, it's about twice as wide as it is tall. There's a reason for that. Soufflés have a tendency to rise, and if it's narrow and tall, they'll go so high they'll be like the Leaning Tower of Pizza. So that's not the type of ramekin you really want. Again, if you see this, it's about twice as wide as it is tall. So that's really kind of the ideal shape. You can pick these up at any of the stores, like Serotop. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of this butter. We're going to coat the ramekins with butter. And then after that, we're going to put sugar in afterward. The purpose of this is to give it a rough texture so the soufflé mix, when you put it inside, will start rising. Okay? So we're going to take that first. I'll show you this is very simple to do. My wife's going to get some of the sugar, put some of this black scoop for me here. And I'm going to take some, you can see what I'm doing here, it's real simple. You don't want to leave too much excess on there. You basically want to just coat that and then just move to the next ramekin. So we're going to coat all these ramekins first. I use butter, we don't use margarine, I don't use Pam, any of that nonsense. We use natural, real ingredients. Okay? So we're going to do this very quickly. And I'll show you how we do with the sugar on this.
No.
Not yet, babe. So what we'll do then, you see that I've got that pretty much done. Okay. Obviously you wash your hands prior to starting. You can kind of see how they're coated. Okay, ready? We got, this is for 4 people, but we typically have a little extra, so I got a 5th one there. It depends on the mix and where you're located. We happen to be in Florida right now, almost at sea level, so these probably won't rise as much as, for example, when we're in the mountains. Sometimes when we're in Switzerland making soufflés, they'll rise like this, so they're a little bit crazy. Now, soufflé is a very temperamental dish. It's not easily done. You'll notice that most restaurants really, even if they say they offer soufflé, if they don't take your order on a soufflé, when they take your, for your dessert soufflé, when they take your dinner order, it's not a soufflé. Because it takes minimum 30 to 45 minutes to make a soufflé. You can't pre-mix the ingredients. Because we don't use any fillers, thickeners, flours, yeast, or anything. So the primary ingredient is obviously the egg whites. So those are basically done. My wife's going to give me a napkin here quickly. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I probably need a little bit more than that. So I'll take a little bit like that right there. Okay, so we'll throw some sugar inside. And what you're going to do here is we're going to take the ramekin and we're going to rotate it like that. So this way it gets the bottom and all the sides, okay? And you just go, and this one's done now. And you leave just a little bit on the bottom. It's kind of like a for caramelization. Okay? And then you take the next one like this. You're going to rotate it. That way it gets all the way up the sides. This is going to help the egg white, the mixture, rise. Okay? Leave just a little bit on the very bottom there. Okay? The next one here, same thing. We're going to take this and just rotate it around again because you want to make sure you get an even coating of the sugar. And then we've got the last one here. Now, as I mentioned, egg whites are the primary ingredient. There's a reason most restaurants do not offer soufflés. It's labor intensive a bit, and it's an art that's not easily perfected. But we've kind of got the knack for it. It's done pretty well. So then we have a little bit of extra sugar there. So what I'll do is I'll just throw that sugar kind of in there, okay? Now, so these are ready to go. While this is still heating up, it takes a little while, we're going to take your creme brulee mix. We'll move this out of the way. And we're going to take about 4 ounces of sugar. Again, this is subjective on sweetness as far as flavoring. You can take, we have about 4 ounces there we're going to put with that brulee mix. Just not quite heavy. So I'll throw a little bit back in there. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to take, we want to make some Chambord raspberry liqueur. This is the primary flavor. So we're going to mix some Chambord liqueur along with raspberry puree. So the way you make raspberry puree is you take raspberries, and one way to make it, of course, is if you can't buy it, I prefer to take a fresh ingredient, fresh raspberries, put them in a bowl with some sugar. We let that sit for an hour or so. It will start extracting flavor. You just mash it together. And what you've come up with is a paste of raspberries. The seeds are still in it. They're small, so you know they'll have a little bit of texture that in your souffle won't be a problem. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add about 3 ounces of about half and half of raspberry puree with the Chambord. So I normally have a little different measure. This is a little larger than I'm used to, but we will make this work. So what I'm going to do right now is it's 2 ounces there. Okay. So I'm going to add about 1.5 ounces. That's about right. Okay, let me just go more. Okay, so we're going to mix about half and half raspberry, Chambord raspberry liqueur. This is made in France, by the way. It's a very nice liqueur. And then we're going to add some, I've already made up the puree. We'll add some puree to this. Okay? Okay, like that. Now, let's see how much we got there. It's about, that's about right. Maybe I'll add just a little more. So we intensify the flavor. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to just mix this around. So it's just kind of a little bit of liquidy taste. A little bit obviously more liquid because we just added some of the, half of it is the liqueur, which is very runny. We're going to add this now to the brulee and the sugar. Okay? So we'll add this to here right now. All right. Now the next thing we do is we're going to take this mixture, we're going to mix that up fairly evenly. And we'll just kind of rotate your bowl a little bit while you're doing it. Take your time, it's not a big deal. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, the oven is heating up. And so what will happen is by the time we're ready, the oven will be ready with us. Now this entire process takes maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Minimum 30 under the best of circumstances. But that's why, again, restaurants normally do not serve soufflés. We are invited often into aboard the galleys of cruise ships, celebrities and other lines, as well as the Four Seasons hotels, to be guest chefs to serve some of their staff, some of their favorite guests, and some of the officers as well on the ships. So this is just one of several dishes that we do. Now, as you can see, it's kind of very runny, but that's basically ready now to add to the egg white mix. It's very important. We're going to show you in a few minutes. We're going to take the egg whites, right here, you add a cup, okay? And we're going to put this in the bowl here, and what we're going to do now, I hope I can talk to you over the sound of this, because it is a little bit noisy, and if it works, it's fine. If not, you can just see what we're doing here. This takes about, depends on, every mixer is different, so basically what this is this takes about 7 minutes. You want stiff egg whites to work with, okay? And then we're going to start this now. Okay, so now that is going. That'll be a few minutes. In the meantime, what we're going to do while this is going, we're going to take whipping cream, because we have a coffee that goes inside the soufflé when it's in it. We have whipping cream, and we've got the mixture. Another 3 or 4 minutes, that should be done, and then we'll start. About another minute and a half, that'll be ready to go. We'll turn that off, and then I'll further tell you what we're going to do, because I think over the noise it's not really ready. So just on that one more minute, okay? And then as you can see, this is just about ready. This is the mix that we'll be adding to the white mix. Meantime, we'll check the oven about where we want it to be. So that oven is now ready. Okay, so this is what it's done. And what we're going to do next is we're going to pop that out. You see the egg whites here are very stiff, which is what you want. You want stiff egg whites. Again, depending on the elevation where you're at and the humidity, you're always going to have a little bit different variation in texture and the result of your souffle. But generally speaking, if you do this properly, it turns out pretty well. Now, here's the most critical part. You're not going to beat the mixture into the egg whites. You're not going to mix it in. You're going to gently fold it in. It's very, very important. Don't do it too quickly, Natasha. So Natasha, this is where I really need your help. You can do this on your own as well, but it's nicer to have an assistant with you. And what I'm going to start doing, what Natasha will be doing, she will be slowly turning the bowl and mixing this in as I'm slowly adding this mixture, okay? So as I'm holding this like this, she's going to start rotating the bowl, and she's mixing that in gently. You cannot beat this in, you can't really mix it in, because then they'll go flat and your souffle will be like a pancake. You don't want that. So I'm adding this mixture right now. She's continuing to turn the bowl, and she is mixing that into the egg whites. And what we're going to do here in about a minute, I'm almost done. I'll take it from Natasha in just a moment, just about done. You take the rest of the mix there, you put this in. Okay? Now, let me just take this very gently. Now, here's what I'm talking about with the mix when you gently fold it in. You just kind of, just very gently, from the bottom up through, you're scraping this. And that way you make sure you go all around, because you have some egg whites that don't have the mixture in. You want to kind of evenly fold everything in. You don't want to go like this, beat, 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 because you want those egg whites. They're very delicate. So it's kind of like, on your first date, you're trying to be gentle and sweet to your girlfriend. So, this is basically ready now. So now what we're going to do, my beautiful wife here is going to come to the other side of me. I'm going to take the spoon, I'm going to take the egg whites, mixture, the souffle mixture. Right now, I'm going to put this into the bowls, okay, like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like this, and she's going to she's going to tamp this down. You don't want any air pockets, a little bit like that, because you don't want air pockets. Okay, and she's going to just make that look kind of pretty. So when it goes in the oven, it'll be ready to go. Now the next thing we're going to do in about 1 minute when these go in the oven, what we'll do is we'll do our topping mix. The topping mix consists of 3 things: whipping cream, white sugar, and the Chambord liqueur. Now when we're in our home in Switzerland, what we do often is we'll make a Bailey's coffee liqueur souffle, or we'll do either Sheridan souffle, Sheridan coffee liqueur, and then we actually get some corn coffee, we grind it very fine, and that souffle we put actual coffee inside so you see little specks of the coffee. Okay, so we have enough mixture left over. We're going to make a little one here. My wife's finishing that up a little bit. In about 1 minute, we're going to put these in the oven. Now it's very important the oven again is right temperature, approximately 400 Fahrenheit. 205 centigrade, and the other thing which is important is make sure it's not on the bottom or on the top of the oven. You're kind of in the medium or just one level lower, because you got to give room for the souffle to rise. You don't want them to repeat on the top of the oven or the oven rack. So you want no racks above where you put the souffles in. Okay, so that looks good. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to put these in the oven, just like this, very carefully. And you're going to notice I'm spacing them out because they have a tendency to grow. And you will see in about 15 minutes or so. Okay? These are going to grow out. And we'll put this little baby one. This is usually the size you get in a restaurant. We'll put that one in the middle. Okay, so it's 7:13 right now. In about 15 minutes, 7:28. Typically between 15 to 20 minutes on this size. Now on the large ramekin. A small ramekin, 10 minutes. But a lot of it is sight, so we'll kind of watch it and we see the tops as they get brown. We don't want that too brown. Okay, now while we're waiting on this, we're going to prepare the topping mix. You get some heavy whipping cream. We're going to use heavy whipping cream. So use some of that. That'll probably be plenty. I mean, you want a bigger bowl. Why don't you give me a bigger bowl, I think. I'll put it in that instead. So it has a tendency to splash out a little bit when the bowl's not quite large enough. So instead of this bowl, we're going to use the next size bowl. Okay? So we're going to use that. Okay. And then we're going to add sugar. And we're going to add Chambord liqueur. Now this, we're going to whip this. This isn't going to whip up like whipping cream because the Chambord we're adding. It's got alcohol in it and it's liquidy. So it's going to be more of a smooth, thicker texture than standard whipping cream. You can see whipping cream like this. Of course, kind of like milk, just a little bit thicker. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some sugar. Now I don't really measure this. It's all kind of subjective to taste. I just kind of go by gut feel. So I'm going to take some sugar, add to that. And then I'm going to take some Chambord. I don't add the raspberry puree to this, only the Chambord. That way, when you're serving this, you're going to, when you're serving it, what you're going to do is you're going to get the enhancement of the liqueur, the raspberry liqueur. Now, what we do here is you can kind of tell, I tell normally by sight, you can also taste it. It's going to take about 5 minutes or so for this sugar to dissolve. You just kind of look it a little bit. And then also, look, it's got a slight pink flavor from the Chambord. I'm going to probably add just a little more because I'm a little bit stronger. There we go. That should be about enough Chambord that we're going to need. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let this mix for about 2, 3, 4 minutes. Get the sugar to dissolve. And you're going to, then you can just taste it for flavor. You know, you can up or down the flavor of the sugar and the Chambord based on your own personal preferences. So while I let that sit for a minute, I'm going to let that sit. The sugar is going to continue to dissolve. This is powdered sugar. This is a dust. We're going to dust this on top of the soufflés when it comes out. in about 12, 15 minutes from now. Okay? So in the meantime, what we're going to do here is you want to be ready with all your staging equipment. Now, you've got to have some hot pads. So Natasha's going to just rummage through the doors and find some hot pads. You need to be ready when the soufflés are ready to come out. So we have some hot pads here, which are good. When this is ready, I'm going to take this whole tray and bring it out here. And it's a bit of a trick to get those ramekins up, so that's why I have a real thin spatula. I'm going to take one. What I'm going to do is when this comes out, the ramekins are very hot, 400 degrees. So I'll take a hot pad, I'll get it underneath it, and we'll set it onto a plate. Very important also, another reason most restaurants do not make soufflés is because it is a little bit labor intensive, and the whole purpose of a soufflé, not only just the exquisite taste it provides, is the presentation is very high. If a soufflé is done properly, it'll raise. You'll see that about 12 minutes, 10 minutes from now. But as soon as you open that oven door, they're starting to go down. So it's very critical to have the plates they go on ready, the powdered sugar ready. So you want to take them out, put them on the plate, dust them, throw a raspberry on the top for decoration, and serve them immediately. It's very, very important. So this is almost ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my bride to taste this and tell me what she thinks. Should be about ready. See if it needs any more sugar or this. Does that seem right? Perfect. Just like her husband. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll let that sit. Now what we're going to do is this is ready. Natasha has tasted it. She says got the right amount of sugar, right amount of liqueur. So now we're going to mix this for about 3, 4, 5 minutes maximum. You don't want to over mix this because you can't. It's not going to get like whipped cream because you have liqueur in there. So it won't get stiff, which is okay. So what we're going to do with this, real quickly, so my able bride is going to mix this up for us. So she'll do this right now. And in the meantime, while she's doing that, to get ready for the soufflés, I take the powder. Okay, Natasha whipped this for about 3, 4 minutes. You'll see that it's just very smooth and creamy, and it's just going to still drizzle and drip, which is fine. This is thicker, but you don't want to do this too much because it's going to get lumpy. Kind of like the way when you're making butter. But right now, that's a good topping. We normally will put this in for presentation. We'll normally put this inside like a gravy trough. But for today's purposes, I'm going to show you how we're going to, when we bring the soufflés out, we're going to adjust those so they're ready to serve. And then typically what we'll do is you're going to serve these at the table before you put this in, and then you come with the topping, you put it inside. Okay? So I'm going to set that aside there, so I don't get too big of a mess right now. This will be out of our way. I don't know if you can see into inside the oven, but if you cannot, we'll open it, not before they're ready, but we will open the oven. You can see the soufflés are starting to rise. They're getting brown on the top. So in about another 9 minutes, those should be ready. In the meantime, what we've done, the powdered sugar is now in the dusters and it's ready. Raspberries are ready, raspberry at the top for each one. So when we're ready to go, this will come out of the oven, we'll set it here, we'll put them on here. Immediately you have to just have everything ready to go in order because it's very critical when you go to a restaurant or serve anywhere that they're served immediately, because as soon as you bring these out of the oven, they're just starting to fall immediately. It doesn't affect the flavor, it's just kind of a bit of the presentation. The whipping cream topping, Chambord liqueur with the sugar is ready to go, so that will be ready for that. Now this is a very light dessert. Even though it looks fairly large, when people after having a large meal, they typically say, oh, I'm so full, I don't have room for dessert. However, a soufflé, if it's done properly, is very light. Very, very light. Very delicate and very exquisite flavor. So we will find out in just a few minutes how much they rise. Again, depending on where you're located, soufflés will rise based on elevation based on humidity and based on each individual oven, because every oven has its own characteristics, its own personality. You can see, I don't know if you can see in the middle here, the small one is coming up a lot, but they're all starting to rise. So in about another 7 minutes on those, and they'll be about ready. You put that inside of there. Okay, my wife likes to do things properly. So Natasha is graciously putting the topping inside of the desserts. Now this is really a showstopper for most, if you want to have a dinner party and do something special. Most people, make a chocolate cake, get a cheesecake at Costco. We like to do things fresh, with fresh ingredients, and souffle is considered one of the most difficult desserts to make. Most restaurants don't do that. When I go to like the Four Seasons Hotel and show their staff how to make them, or on the cruise ships, they are generally amazed about how well these turn out. A souffle is not geared for mass production. It's geared for like a dinner party, just a few guests, maximum 8 or 10 guests. Typically, fortunately, you got 2 ovens here because you don't want to put more than about 5 even on this large oven. If you put them together, what happens? They're going to grow together and they're going to just stick together. So it's important to have the proper spacing. Now, even though you have double ovens here, I can promise you, I don't care what oven you have, what brand, they're never exactly the same. So if for example, if we were to make souffles in both ovens right now at the same time, one set would come out before the other set. It's just the nature of ovens. They're never 100% synchronized as far as the way they function. And the other thing also which is important is proper heat distribution throughout the ovens. The newer ovens are much better than they used to be. They circulate the air better because you want pretty much even heat throughout the oven from the top to the bottom, side to side, corners to the middle. So it's always nice to have proper heat. This is a pretty good oven heat profile. So now, I don't know if you can see this, you're really coming up in about 5 more minutes to be ready. And I'll zoom in, we'll see these souffles in a minute. My wife will stand on one side, I'll stand on the other, and we'll open that up for you. We call this the grand reveal. Again, we have everything ready to go here. We have the, as soon as those come out of the oven, they're going to go on the plates, because you don't want to set these ramekins right on the table, because they're very hot. So you want to put them on top of the plate. So you can't rush this, because it's very fragile coming out of the oven. Plus, it's very hot, and the last thing you want to do is have it fall on the floor. So you want to just take your time out of the oven on here, and then onto the plates, and then very carefully the plates to the table. Don't worry about making a mess when you're ready to dust in the sugar. We'll put the 5 here. I'll dust them and powder sugar on the countertop. No big deal. This will clean it nicely. So in about 5 more minutes, 6, maybe 4 more minutes, these will be about ready. I will open this oven door and you will see what a proper souffle looks like. Now one time I asked the cruise ship before I was invited into the galley if they could make me a raspberry souffle. Well, it came out looking like the color of Pepto-Bismol. I knew immediately they were using some sort of a wrong or fake ingredient. So the captain graciously said, if you don't, go in there and show my chefs how to make a souffle. It's very critical to make the selection of proper and natural ingredients. We use nothing fake, nothing artificial, nothing. We use only sugar, the butter, the raspberries, the liqueur, the cream, eggs, and for the raspberry Chambord raspberry liqueur souffle, this is what we use. Same thing with our coffee souffles, our coffee liqueur souffles. We typically will use a liqueur in all our bases. It just seems to enhance the flavor a bit. You see again the common souffles are the chocolate souffles, which is usually not a liqueur, and Grand Marnier. Now everybody pretty much does a Grand Marnier, so I don't usually bother with that. We like to offer things that people have never had, something a little different. So in about 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes, this will be ready. You can see the souffles are rising nicely. You check while you're looking. You look at also the top of the souffles. They're starting to brown nicely. You don't want them to burn. They can get a little bit dark, which is okay. So they'll be fine. So I make sure my pads are ready here to go. When they're ready, I'm going to set that tray right here. So I'll make sure I have everything out of the way, because you don't want any to impede what you're doing here. Are there any questions so far? No? Okay. So soon you're going to be tasting this wonderful souffle, and I want to take this time to all 40 of you that are here watching today to thank you for your patience, and you'll get to sample this shortly. 2 more minutes, 1.5 more minutes, this will be ready to go, and you're going to see as soon as I open that door, watch very carefully, because as soon as I open that door and start taking those out, they're slowly going to be going down a little bit. It's the nature of souffles. That's why it's very important that you want to make sure everybody's dinner is done, all the tables, all the plates are clear, so when you're ready to serve that souffle, you don't want somebody still eating their filet mignon or lobster. You want to make sure everybody's done and they're all waiting for their next course, which is the grand finale dessert. Okay, in about 1 minute, we'll pull those out. So just in a moment, I'll have you zoom in on this, and you can just see what these souffles look like. Pay attention carefully to the size of the ramekins, because that's the level where they started at. And you're going to see what these souffles have done. These are raising nicely. They're not as big, as high as some, probably because of the humidity and the location where we're at, and we're at sea level. The higher the elevation, the higher they'll typically raise. One time we were up in the Swiss mountains. We went to one of the mountain restaurants. We made souffles at about 10,000 feet, which is 3,000 meters approximately. So, and one time we made the souffles, they started this high, and they were came out of the oven, they're like this. It was crazy. So they're like the leaning tower, they keep falling over. So you really don't want them too high. It looks great when you first look at them. Especially, it's nice if you had guests over. Have them take a look in the oven when you open that oven door. They're going to want to get your camera ready to take photos. So, we're about ready. Another 10 seconds, and we'll be ready to pull those out. So what I'm going to do is Natasha's going to open the door in a moment. When I tell her to do that, I will be ready with the hot pads, because it's very important we do that. Okay? And we'll have you zoom in on this. Now we're going to go ahead and zoom in. There's our souffles. You can see the size of them. They're over double the size of the ramekins. Now I'm going to take those out, and if you watch carefully, you're going to see they're going to start slowly rising, falling. That's just the nature of souffle. Okay. You see how they're kind of wiggling? They're very delicate, so you have to be very careful how you handle those, okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take those, and I'm going to take a hot pad like this with the spatula underneath. It's very important to get underneath that a little bit. You've got to be very careful. You kind of want to hurry, but you don't want to hurry too much, because you don't want it to fall on the floor. That's the nature of souffles. So now what we're going to do, Natasha's, I'm going to put these on the plates. Natasha's dusting these. It's just more of an appearance factor. You're going to eat that small one. That's the little one we did. That was the extra. I'll put that right there. Okay, and then the next one we're going to do is, after I get this last one on there, we're going to put the last one on there. Okay. And Natasha's going to dust that. If you want to zoom in on that, then we're going to put a raspberry on each one. Okay? Like this. Now those are basically ready to serve. And when you do, typically what you're going to do is you're going to take this to the table. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open one up, because I want to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to just open one up gently to see. And when you're at the table, you come with Natasha will take the mix there, and you basically open the hole. And if you look at the size, it's a slightly purple color, very pale, and she's going to pour some of that in there. Okay? Okay. Just like that. And then what you do is you're going to serve that. Now that's ready to serve. And you'll notice since we've been talking, so it's tipping on that, and how they're still going down, but they still look nice. So that is Chambord Raspberry Souffle. My bride's going to taste one. She's going to give us the verdict. Hopefully it will turn out fine. Perfect?
Very much.
Just like her husband. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your souffle making.
Thank you.
Okay.